Welcome to All Gems No Crumbs, where the vibes are high and the tips hit every time. I'm your host, Ikenisha J, entrepreneur, millennial mama, wife, and your go-to for real talk on building your brand, protecting your peace, and living your softest life yet. Each week, I'm dropping gems to help you level up in business, mindset, self-care, and everything in between without the fluff, pressure, or burnout. No crumbs, just gems. Let's get into it. Let me tell you something. I have been watching business makeover shows such as Tabatha Takes Over, love her, obsessed. Shark Tank, that's not really a business makeover show, but you know, Restaurant Impossible, Bar Rescue, all of them. Even before I became an entrepreneur, these shows taught me how to think like one. Back when I was managing teams and stores, I soaked up everything from how to lead, how to market, how to take criticism without letting ego get in the way. These shows weren't just entertainment for me, they were business school. They were free game. They were real business lessons that you don't always get in these courses. So, in today's episode, I want to reflect and teach. We're going to break down what these shows teach us, and more importantly, how to apply those lessons to our own businesses, no matter the type. Because I noticed as I was, so what happened was, I randomly came across a video on YouTube. It seems like YouTube's algorithm just knows exactly what it is that you want to watch. So I had been wanting to watch Tabitha's show. It was originally called Tabitha's Salon Takeover, and then they changed the title years later to Tabatha Takes Over because she started doing more than just hair salons. So I had been wanting to watch it. I was like, oh my God, I used to love that show. I hadn't searched for it or nothing. Like Big Brother for real. Like it just popped up on my YouTube and I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to watch this. So I've been watching it for the past few days. Like every single episode that I can find on YouTube on this one particular YouTube channel is called The Reality Channel. And they have posted like so many good older reality shows. Like they have old Flavor Flav episodes, Real Chance of Love, New York Goes to Hollywood. Um, I can't think of what else was up there. Tabitha, of course. There was a few other shows. Oh, the Osbournes. That shows I used to watch that too. That's up there. Like so, check out that channel on YouTube. It's called The Reality Channel. I think that's what it's called. And again, they have a lot of different reality shows up there. So anywho, I was watching some of the shows, and I had also just been watching. I can't remember which other one it was, but I was thinking, I was like, you know what? A lot of these shows are telling the exact same thing, and the business types are totally different. I was like, oh my God, ding, ding, ding. This will be a great podcast episode. So, we're going to talk about the things that I noticed that they all seem to talk about, and that means that that is important for all businesses, not just certain ones. So, number one, know your numbers or get dragged. That's lesson number one. And I cannot count how many times I have watched John Taffer, that's for Bar Rescue, if you don't know, and Robert Irvine is on Restaurant Impossible. I love those shows. If you have never watched those shows, I I don't know what's wrong with you. I remember one of my friends told me that he started watching Bar Rescue years ago because of me. So I'm telling you, watch those shows. Bar Rescue still comes on, by the way. Restaurant Impossible does not. I think it stopped in 2023, unfortunately. But you can still find it somewhere. Okay, so anywho, Robert Irvine, John Taffer, and Tabitha, she does this too. They'll walk into a business and they will ask, how much are you making? What's your food cost? What's your labor cost? How much does it cost you to gain a customer? And the owner would just stare at them, or they'll say, oh, I don't know. Or I can't get those numbers for you right now. Or that's not something I do, blah, 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 blah. And you know what happens? What they show every single time? Chaos, confusion. One of those three people will just start an immediate roast session and just start, hammering into them. Because the truth is, if you don't know your numbers, you truly do not know your business. I used to be, I know I say this all the time, but I have to keep saying it because I don't know if someone is new or not. So I used to be an assistant manager at Victoria's Secret, and then I was promoted to a store manager at Victoria's Secret. So when I was the assistant manager at Victoria's Secret during that time was literally responsible for everything except for making the schedule. So, and they were also not in charge of well, they sort of were in charge of analyzing numbers, but then again, we weren't. So, anywho, I literally had to handle everything as the assistant manager: the hiring, the firing, the onboarding, the bra sales, keeping the employees in line, making sure they were hitting their sales, making sure the store was hitting our sales. Anything you could think of, I had to handle it. So, my store manager, she was not that strong when it came to analyzing numbers. So I would do it for her because every Monday, store managers would have to lock themselves in their office. It was an office day, and they had to create the schedule and literally analyze numbers. Then they would talk to the district manager, and then they would get on a conference call with the store managers in the district with the district manager, and then we get on another conference call where it was like the top stores in the company. I can't remember how many top stores. I think it was the top 100 or top 75, something like that. I can't remember. So I, again, would analyze the numbers for her, and I would also analyze those numbers for myself because I knew that was how I would be able to get my associates and myself to hit certain metrics. And at that time, we, not only us as managers, would get bonuses, but the associates would get bonuses as well if they hit certain numbers. So again, I needed to analyze those numbers to get everyone in the store some extra money. So my store manager and district manager noticed how well I was able to do it. And it got to the point that I was so good at doing it that the district manager would have other store managers call me if they needed something, if they had questions. And then on Mondays, they would have to let me know what they found in their numbers before calling her. So I ended up becoming the go-to person in our district for data analytics, number analytics, that sort of thing. And when I became a store manager, I was still that person. So I knew how to pull a report and translate it into action. I knew how to look at numbers and take action upon it. That was my lane. And if you are an e-commerce owner or a business owner, well, it doesn't even matter, just any business owner in general, and you can't tell me what your average order value is, what your conversion rate is, what your top 3 best sellers were last month, what your bottom 3 last sellers were, what vendor sells the best for you, anything like that, then you are flying blind. And I know for a fact that people do not like the unsexy side of owning a business, which is analytics, the data, the numbers. I have had multiple masterclasses since 2018. And one of my least popular masterclasses is the one that I put the most into, by the way. It is my analytics class. It is about 90 minutes or so long. And what I did was I recorded myself, recorded my screen, and you are able to watch me as I analyze a client's website's analytics strictly through her Shopify. And what is interesting is that even though that is my least sold class, it is also the one where I receive the most positive feedback, where people are always saying that they learned so much. This is the class where they took the most notes. This class should be taught in a college, like so on and so on. I receive so much good feedback when people take this class. And I've done so many one-on-one sessions where people literally would look at me just like those business owners on TV when I ask them about their numbers. And I say to them point blank, you wonder why you're failing. You don't know your business. You cannot know where you're going if you don't know where you are and where you have been. And you learn that through your numbers. Numbers can be very revealing. They can reveal things to you, the owner, and they can reveal your business to others. There's no hiding when it comes to numbers. They always say numbers don't lie. They do not lie. So I want you all to take an action step for me. I want you to set aside 30 minutes. We're going to start with 30 minutes. 30 minutes each week. I want you to look at your numbers. What sold? What didn't sell? What was your website traffic if you have that? What's your abandoned cart rate? I want you to look at all of your numbers. This is the data that tells you what to do next. Not vibes, not what you feel like doing, not what you think you should be doing, not what you see someone else on Instagram doing. Look at your numbers. And when I say your numbers, I mean like your numbers for social media, your email numbers, all of that. You need to look at all of your numbers for each part of your business. Okay, so lesson two. Lesson two is going to be what I want to call it. Marketing is more than social media. That's what we're going to say. Marketing is more than social media. One of the biggest marketing misconceptions that I see is people thinking that content equals strategy. It does not. So just like on Shark Tank, when the sharks may ask, what are you doing to acquire customers? And that person will just say, we're posting on Instagram. And the sharks give them that look like, like, what? And they're doing that because real marketing is layered. You have to understand that real marketing includes email marketing. It includes text messaging. It includes the psychology behind buyer behavior. It includes the offers that you have that can convert. Consistency in your messaging and your visuals. Being strategic in your drops that build hype. Customer retention, customer loyalty. Even networking falls under marketing because you're marketing yourself and your business. My minor was in marketing, if you did not know. And I still study it like it's a full-time job. Like, I love everything about marketing, especially the psychology of why people buy. Speaking of which, I do have a little short guide. Well, not short, but yeah, well, it's a quick guide is what I call it. A quick guide that I created all about the psychology of why people buy. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Not because I wrote it, but because I did a dang good job in this quick guide. Okay, so that link will be in the show notes somewhere. Okay. All right. So something else, those shows that I was just talking about, they always seem to highlight marketing flaws. That's something else that I noticed on every single show. They showed like terrible signage, no identity, like no brand identity, confusing menus, confusing displays. And guess what? If you are an e-commerce owner, which you all know, that's when you have a website, if your website, because this is something I used to see a lot when I would do audits, if your website is confusing, if your messaging is unclear, if your products don't speak to anyone, guess what? That is bad marketing. Okay, so marketing is about connection as well. You should be telling your story. Telling your story is a huge part of marketing. When I did that, you all should know by now because I've said it several times, I was able to gain so many more customers and so many loyal customers and so many people who wanted to support me because they heard my story. They heard the passion in my voice. They saw the passion in my eyes. They understood the lessons that I learned that helped me become the person that God wanted me to be in order to start my first business. Your About Us page on your website is a marketing opportunity. So your action steps for this part of your lessons first, go through your About Us page. It should like literally speak to people's emotions. If you do not know how to write this so it speaks to people's emotions, go to my best friend, ChatGPT. Tell it that you want to create an About Us page that speaks to people's emotions and connects with customers and shows you as relatable. Ask me 3 to 5 questions to get started. Boom. Then you're going to have a really good About Us page. I promise you. I also want you to stop depending solely on social media, Instagram. I want you to build an email list. I want you to create a campaign for each new drop you're having. This isn't just for product businesses or boutique owners. Like, everybody should have some kind of product drop. Like, I have them for whether it's a class or a new guide or something like that. And you're going to map out how your story is going to flow across all platforms. You want to repurpose your content. So you need to come up with a content calendar, okay? Because your content, it doesn't just live on social media, it also lives on your email list, okay? Marketing is how you attract, it is how you nurture, and it is how you close, not just how you post. All right, so lesson number 3, leadership will make or break you. One thing I love about Tabatha and John Taffer and Robert Irvine, all of them, is that they do not play. Like, they don't sugarcoat anything. They don't give a dang about your feelings. Okay, they will walk into a space and they will immediately clock the leadership issues. Because most of the time the problem ain't even the staff, it's the owner. The staff is like kids if you're a parent. They're going to do whatever it is that you allow them to do. They're going to do whatever it is they see you do. Even though people always say you need to do as I say, not as I do. It don't matter. Staff, kids, animals, they're going to do what they see you do, not what you say. And one thing I like about Robert Irvine, he'll walk in, he'll see a toxic or clueless owner, and within minutes, not even kidding you, he will say, "You're the problem." With that accent. I love him. So the lesson in this is your leadership style is either creating growth or blocking it. And I know you're probably saying, Akenisha, like, I don't even have no team. It's just me. Okay, but even as a solopreneur, you are still the leader. You have to set the tone for yourself. And as someone who's battled perfectionism and analysis paralysis, I know how easy it is to think you're doing business when really you're just rearranging your to-do list. Okay, I have been there. And I'm going to ask you something that I asked myself years ago. And it really changed how I acted within the realm of entrepreneurship with myself. So I'm going to ask it the way I asked myself because, the last few jobs I had, I was, the top person. So I asked myself, Nisha, if you worked at Victoria's Secret the way you currently work for yourself, would you have fired you? I said, good God Almighty. Maybe I would have figured out a way to get my behind out the door. Like, I then asked myself, okay, so are you a good employee first in your business, or do you like the BS of being able to say that you are a CEO or you own your own business? Do you like that, or are you a good employee? And I had to sit with myself for a minute because I was not a good employee. I was a great manager, okay? Okay. Great manager in whatever job I had. I was always the top. Because again, as a perfectionist, as an overachiever, as someone who is literally, I'm not even kidding you, I'm not even bragging, whatever, but humbly, I am good at everything. You can even ask my husband, ask my family, whatever. Like, I am good at everything. And my husband said that years ago. He was like, how is someone good at everything? I'm good at everything. Basketball, track, sports, pool, like play pool. Like, yes, I am a pool shark. I can do that too. Sales, analyzing. I'm charming. I'm funny. Like, I am literally that girl. When someone says they can do everything, I am that person. God bless me. And he blessed me with 2 parents who are entrepreneurs, and they are good at a lot of things as well. And so I am them wrapped up into one. I can draw. Like, the only thing I cannot do is sing. Which one of my friends said I could. He was like, you have a good foundation with your voice. If you got a voice coach or a singing coach, you probably could do that too. And I was like, yeah, I could, most likely. But anyway, the point is, I went all the way off. Okay. The point is, I was good except when it came to my own business. And I'm still like that a little bit now to this day, but it's more so still the perfectionism, the fear of not being perfect, the fear of not being looked at the way I want to be looked at. And that's just something within myself I've always had to deal with. But I want you to sit with that for a moment. If you worked at your current job the way you work for yourself, would your manager fire you, promote you, or what? What would they do? Are you a good employee first in your business? Sit with it. Be honest. Look in the mirror. I want you to audit yourself. Are you being consistent or are you letting emotions run your day? If your business was a team, would they follow your lead? You have to be a leader. All right? Sit with it. Sit with it. We're going to move on to lesson 4. Lesson 4 is going to be pride will kill your progress. And that is strictly piggybacking off of the same thing. Like, these shows always expose the owners' egos, the owners who think they know it all, the owners who refuse help. And they'll say, well, this is just how I do things. This is just how this town is, blah, 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 blah. And then they wonder why, again, their business is tanking. I'm not that girl. I'm going to let y'all know that now. I'm not that girl. I do not have a problem with criticism or feedback. I will, when I have my boutique especially, I would regularly poll my audience and my inner circle. And that's how I knew how to change my boutique's logo. Like, the original logo that I had, like, I liked it, but I didn't like it. And I had no problem with changing it. So my business bestie, I was blessed to have a business bestie who was also my actual best friend, because she, at the time, was a celebrity treat maker. Like, we're talking about, she made treats for politicians, for Real Housewives, for athletes' wives, stuff like that. So she told me straight up, like, look, I've been wanting to tell you, but your logo looks like a logo for a nail salon. I said, bitch, what? Guys? So I took a step back and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, by golly, she is right. So what I do, I changed that mofo. I changed it and I liked it even better. But being able to be open and open-minded and listen and accept help, that is what makes a great leader. That is what promotes growth. And that's how my brand continued to grow. So the little action step for you this time is to be open to feedback. Ask your customers, ask your friends, even ask strangers. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this website? What's the vibe when you see this? And then you need to listen without getting defensive. That's the key. I know our businesses are our babies, but we gotta not be defensive, because your next breakthrough might be in the feedback that you have been ignoring. That's a word. I tell y'all, I keep dropping gems in this podcast. Your next breakthrough might be in the feedback that you have been ignoring. Put that quote somewhere on Instagram. So, last lesson, I really wanted to touch on this very shortly. Don't confuse buying with strategy. And I don't know when I'm going to release this particular podcast, but I'm almost positive it's going to be after I release an episode all about inventory, but it's going to be for the boutique owners only. But on all these shows, I'm going to go back to it later. All these shows, the business owners will think that a new menu item, some better signage, some nice new furniture is the answer. And every one of those experts that come in, they always say that's just a band-aid. And that's the same thing with e-commerce. Like, you tend to think, and I'm not going to say it's just, you listeners, I was in this same boat. And again, I talk about this in another episode. It is, again, for boutique owners, but it doesn't matter if you are a boutique owner or not. I would highly recommend listening to this episode. It's all about inventory. But I was in this same boat where you tend to think if you just buy this new product or stock this new trendy item, it will save your sales. But strategy isn't in what you buy, it's in how you sell it. So you buying something or creating a new digital product to put on your website is not the answer, because why are you going to add more to what is already not selling? Inventory is not strategy. And I also came up with the boutique strategy blueprint. It's a little bundle I created because I made those mistakes again or early on. And I learned that your buying plan, your sales strategy, your messaging, it all needs to work together. So in my boutique strategy blueprint, again, even if you're not a boutique owner, this will still work for you if you are a product-based business, because I have like a buying plan template in there. We talk about content calendars and something else I got in there. I create so much stuff. Like, I can't even remember what's in it, but I'm almost positive. I know the buying plan template is in there and something about content calendar and I think a sales strategy. Yeah, but it will be linked in the show notes. Okay, go view it. All right. So I want you all to know that I'm sharing all this because I want you to understand. You don't need a camera crew to fix your business. You need self-awareness, you need clarity, and you need the willingness to actually act on what you learn, because those shows work because the owners finally stop lying to themselves, stop trying to show off for the camera, and they get help. And you can do the same thing starting now. I want you to grab my analytics class. Again, it may be my least popular class, you know, like units sold. It sold a lot, but compared to my other classes, it did not, it's the least popular. It's at the bottom. But it works. I use and teach the same techniques that led my Victoria's Secret store to the top in my state consistently, and in the top 50 through 75 out of 1,200 stores consistently. It was rare that we were not the top store. If you're a boutique owner or a product-based business, again, I recommend you grab my boutique sales strategy blueprint, okay? Those two things will really help you guys. That analytics one, I cannot stress this one enough. When you know your numbers, you're going to feel like a boss, okay? A boss. The lessons that we have learned today, they are loud and clear. You need to know your numbers. You need to build real marketing strategies. You need to lead yourself, employee first, and like a CEO. You need to stay humble and curious and stop masking confusion with your spending. I've been taking these lessons in for years, and now I use them every day, not just for my business, but to help you grow yours. I will poll my email list to this day and ask them what they want from me. What problems are y'all having? What type of emails do you want to receive? And I use those in order to audit my business and change it up. Okay, so that's what I want y'all to do. Take these action steps and grow. All right, so if you love this episode, be sure to follow, subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and please share this episode with someone who needs it. Okay, so catch me next week with another gem of advice, because I'm not going to leave no crumbs.